Miami and Florida, we have our resident Cameron Crazy J-Man in the building, which means he's a Jay Lucas crazy too, right? Like once you're a member of the Brotherhood, you're always a part of the Brotherhood. That's what I always say. So we have Miami and Florida. This game is in Jacksonville. Um, Odd neutral spot, but it is neutral. Um, J-Man, let me get your thoughts on both teams. Florida has struggled out the gate, but obviously, like with Jay Lucas being at Miami, like no one might have more intel on Miami on the channel than you.
Yeah, look, Miami's 3-0 this year. They started 3-0 last year, and I think they went 4-24 the rest of the season. But this year is different because Jay Lucas is the head coach there, and you already see what he's brought to the table with Miami. He was Duke's defensive coordinator as a assistant coach last year, and so when Miami hired him, it was like, hey, we need a turn. I think they were 350, 339th in defense in college basketball last year. Now they are 62nd in defense at the efficiency rating. So night and day difference. I know you can say the strength of schedule, they haven't beaten anybody, fine, but Ken Palm agrees with me with what he's brought to the table, and you see it night in, night out with the guys. They battle, they crash the boards, they play hard together. Play hard together. Sheldon Henderson, the former Duke commit,
Yeah.
it's one thing he has a high motor and he's an athlete on the wing, and then Renault, Malik Renault coming in doing big things, and they are led by Ernest Uday on the boards with 9 rebounds a game. So they have an identity of just physicality and hustle because they're in year one of a rebuild essentially, and so the best way to make that first building block is playing with toughness and playing your ass off. And so far, Miami's doing that 3 games in.
Yeah, I mean, I think Miami's playing well for who they are. You know, I think they're playing a Florida team that obviously they're outmatched. Now, Florida State, like, or excuse me, Florida lost to Arizona, and I think largely we just kind of chalked that up to Arizona's really good. Phenomenal Arizona performance. And I'm not taking anything away from Arizona. I've been high on Arizona the whole year. I do believe Arizona's really good. I also think Florida has flaws. And that backcourt, man, like I've been saying it for a little while, Xavier Lee. Like I don't know that I see it at this level. Boogie Fland struggled last year. There's a reason he's still in college. Like we're seeing it play out in front of us. They struggled mightily against a Florida State team that I do believe is better than we think they are. Like I do want to say that I do believe Florida State is better than maybe we thought they were coming into the year. I still think Florida State's a little closer to like a Miami than they are like a Duke or a Louisville or a North Carolina in terms of the like where they rank in the ACC. And if Florida State could get to Florida on the road, by the way, in the hoop swamp, as I like to call it, um, are we sure Miami can't get to Florida at all in this game?
Yeah, I mean, there's no like with what Miami's done defensively and what they're trying to do defensively against a Florida team that is shooting 21% from three as a team. Like weird things can happen because look, I still believe in Xavier Lee. Like I said that last time, I feel like we do all these Florida games together. I feel like it's our second or third time talking about Florida. And Xavier Lee, though, he just keeps being inefficient. I mean, 6 of 29 from three for 21%. From the field, he's shooting 27%. So like he just keeps chucking. He's not making them. He made them at Princeton. Like he's got to connect because if he is not the guy if he's not a reliable scorer for Florida, then it is going to be a scary year in the SEC for Florida because Houck has been great and then Condon's been good, but your guard play is what carries you through March for the most part. And when you have two unreliable guards that are inefficient, that's those are scary hours. And Florida needs to have a big game by Xavier Lee, an efficient game from Xavier Lee against Miami.
Yeah, I mean, so they built a championship team going as their guards go. And then they rebuilt the roster trying to do the same thing. And I'm not saying Todd Golden can't pivot. I think he has the front court to pivot. Thomas Hall, I think, can be like, the lead scoring option on this roster. That's not a championship team, though.
No.
I think if you look at Ken Palm's projections, they have them 21-9, 12-6 in the SEC. It's a really, really good team. I say this like Florida fans, I say this very like positively. Um, if you're down years the Sweet 16, which I do think like that's probably Florida's floor this year, just because of how good they are in the front court. And the backcourt's like not bad. It's just not what they need them to be to make that next step. It's a really good down year, right? Like Purdue did that last year. Like if your down year is a 4 or 5 seed, Sweet 16, at that point you play 2 games, you're back in the Final Four exactly where you were. But I think this team has a lot of flaws in comparison to last year's team. Ultimately, I do think they beat down on Miami a little bit. I think this one gets ugly. I really, really like Florida in this game. Never been a huge Malik Renew guy. Never been a huge Malik Renew guy. So I really like Florida in this game. But like I will say, man, like Florida has some flaws here that like have been shown early.
Yeah. Yeah, they've been shown early. The one thing that they've done well, I know they gave up 93 against Arizona in a high-paced game, but their defense, they're eighth in the country. So it's like they're guarding. The Arizona game was a lot of possessions, but I mean 64 points against North Florida, 76 against Florida State. Miami's a team that's still figuring out their identity on offense. So this is another game where I think Florida's defense is going to show themselves. And honestly, I think it'd be a lower scoring game than maybe people think because of that. For two reasons. Florida can't shoot the damn three, and Miami's still looking for an identity against their toughest opponent yet in the first year under Jay Lucas. But yeah, that's the one good thing for Florida is like your backcourt has not been playing well offensively, but as a team defensively, you're okay. And hopefully that offense figures it out because it's the first month of the season. It takes time, but Xavier Lee going like 4 of 16 every game this season is not was not on my bingo card. Like I thought if he was going to struggle, it was because he couldn't get shots up, not because he's shooting 16 shots and only making four. I was thinking more of like 2 for 7 in a game.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think ultimately within this game and like for Florida throughout the year, defense wins championships, and they do have an elite defense.
Yeah.
You look at that Arizona game, it's like okay, you gave up 93 points. Kobe hit for 30. Kobe's an NBA guy, right? Like an NBA dude hit you for 30. How many times is that going to happen throughout the
Yeah.
year, right? Like I believe you can live with that. Like if you go to Duke, you go to BYU, you go to Kansas, Peterson, DeBonta, Boozer hit you for 30 of a team's 90 points. That's 33%. You lose, you live with that, you move on, right? That's why everybody's so high on Florida from that game. Koa hit for 30, Jaden Bradley hit for 26. I personally believe those are two NBA guys that just combined for about 60% of your points and you lost. It happens. Now, if you go to Arizona and let me find somebody on this roster that we would not be okay with hitting for 30 really quickly. You go to Arizona and and I mean this with all due respect, Krivas hits you for 30, or Anthony Del Orso hits you for 30, and you get an off night from Koa Pete and Jaden Bradley and Braden Berries and so on and so forth. Like those are really good players. That's a little different of a situation though. So sometimes stars are just going to star, and I think that's what happened to Florida. 9 games out of 10, I don't think Florida's going to play somebody where their star just stars.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm picking on Xavier Lee in the backcourt in this episode because 27%, but Chinley is a starting center. Everything's around the rim. He's shooting less than 50% from the field, and then you got guys coming off the bench. Clavzar shooting 28%, and then Alex Lloyd shooting 20%. So like you're getting guys that now all of a sudden you don't have depth, or the depth that you think you have, they are not giving you any production on the offensive end because they're inefficient. And then you have your big guy shooting 48% from the field around the rim. That's just, you're missing bunnies, you're missing open threes. Like there's a lot of things that Florida has to figure out offensively. And last year when they played Miami, if they played Miami, it's like, yeah, this is the perfect team. The one that's the worst defensive team in the country. This is where you figure out your offensive slumps. What works, what doesn't. Year one under Jay Lucas, they've already made big strides to where it's going to be a test, a little test for Florida against
Right.
Miami.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think also like I said what I said about Malik Renew, but like he's a really good player though, right? Like whether I'm a fan or not, he's a really good player. Like he's probably after the Arizona game, this is probably like the best front court guy Florida's seen. So it's like, how much improvement have we made since that Arizona game? Shelton Henderson is like, that's a high major dude. Like that's a former what? High
Five,
4 star, low five
he,
star?
he got a 5 star when the Duke bump basically. But
Yeah.
yeah, he was a 5 star. He went to Jay Lucas's high school, so that's when Jay Lucas went to Miami. He was like, okay, it's inevitable. Sheldon Henderson's going to follow him.
But I mean, you're playing a Miami team that has a former 5 star and Malik Renew. Um, I think like that's a good test, right? Like you struggled throughout the year, but you're still 2-1. You're fine. Your only loss is Arizona. Okay, if you can come punch Miami in the mouth, you move on. Um, which not to segue a little quickly here, but like um, that is a perfect segue into our predictions for the game. KenPom has Florida as 9-point favorites. They have the total at 163. Is there anything you like in this?
Honestly, I kind of like the under, as I alluded to. Like, I think Florida still, like, Ken Palm has an 86, 77. I don't know if they get to 86 because the backcourt has to show me something. And even the front court guys outside of Halk and Condon have to show me something if they can be reliable around the rim against a very defensive-minded head coach in Jay Lucas. But on the flip side, I think Florida's going to make it tough for Miami to score because they're really good defensively. And Miami's guys, Renault's averaging 21 a game. Like he's been outstanding for in the first 3 games. But their starting five outside of Sheldon Henderson were like, good role players on Power Five teams last year. So who's going to really step up and be the guy against a very talented Florida team? I think we might see, some hiccups on the offensive end for Miami. So I like the under in this Florida Miami game. And I think Florida wins, but I think Miami's going to keep it close.
I like that pick. I like Florida in a route. I think you could still get to the under that way. Don't get me wrong. Like I think Florida could win this game like 85-60. And I think you get both. I like Florida in a route. Shelton Henderson, still a freshman. Malik Renew's old and slow. Can't
What
believe we're saying that about college guys, but it is true at this point. Some of these dudes are old now.
do they have the
Um,
spread for it? The real spread?
No, because it's on Sunday, but the Ken Palm spread is 9. I like Florida -9. I would take it all the way up to 12. If
Yeah.
it's 13, 14, 15, I think I'm on Miami. But neutral court, you're relying on a freshman and then like a really old senior.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I like Florida in this one. They just have more pieces. For everything we say about Xavier Lee and Boogie Flan, they're still the best two guards on the court. So it's going to be a fun one though. Florida that's a title contender. Miami, up and coming team, a little bit of a rivalry game. But for J Man, I'm Dion. We'll see you for the recap. Please like, comment, and subscribe.